Hello, my name is Sydney Goodbody, and I'm going to be talking about the 3R initiative and how its implementation falls on the government, businesses, and the average person. Just to introduce the topic a bit more, traditionally, waste management has been a public works job, and countries have collection, sorting, recycling, and disposal systems in place. A large economy has been the trade of recyclable materials for recycling in other countries that have the infrastructure set up to process the different materials. However, with constant policy changes like China's recent decision to stop the import of outside flexible plastic waste for recycle, we're seeing a shift in the expectation of who should be processing waste from public works to the companies who created the product in the first place. Really, China's decision is a perfect example of how volatile the value chain is and how important adaptability is within it. So this presentation aims to propose actions that can be taken to improve waste collection and sorting value chain in hopes of creating a circular economy. So to start out, managing knowledge starts with educating the average consumer. Recycling isn't the sole responsibility of any one party. It's a collective effort. So educating the public on what is and is not recyclable. For example, there was a period when we were supposed to remove the caps on plastic bottles before throwing them away, and now you're supposed to keep them on. So the general public is still confused on kind of what the policy is, and that remains true for a lot of recycling practices. So simple things like educations in schools, infographics sent in the mail, PSAs on television and radio, Amber Alerts or other alerts that go to everybody's mobile devices, and including recycling instructions on packaging itself will all help in educating the public. This education can be initiatives by government bodies in conjunction with packaging companies who claim sustainability as one of their core values. Additionally, increasing communication and knowledge sharing between waste management, who collect and sort waste, and recyclers who process the sorted material can greatly reduce frustration caused by miscommunications regarding materials the recyclers are and are not collecting at that time. This communication would also help waste management package and deliver recyclables in such a way that is easiest for the facility to process. This partnership would be extremely beneficial to both parties. Moving on to shared value. So Coca-Cola is a great example of creating shared value by being a leader in several initiatives to increase the accessibility to recycling all over the world. In the United States, Coca-Cola has partners with several nonprofits, investing over $13 million to bring curbside recycling infrastructure, and education to communities in which recycling isn't common. In doing so, they were able to divert 700 million pounds of recyclables from landfills in 2017 in the United States alone. More recently, Coca-Cola has announced their initiative to collect one plastic bottle for every bottle that they sell in order to create a closed-loop economy. These efforts are adding value into the communities by increasing education to the public and jobs in the waste management sector, as well as drastically reducing the company's use of raw materials and energy. Coca-Cola is leading the charge and is setting a great example of a company stepping up and taking accountability for their products all the way through its life cycle. The plastic packaging value chain could be expanded by encouraging plastic producers to follow the design standards set forth by the organizations such as the Association of Plastic Recyclers, ensuring that their product is as recyclable as possible by designing with recyclability in mind. This is something that Coca-Cola is practicing and that Niagara is practicing, but it should continue to flow through more packaging makers. Additionally, if retailers make themselves available to collect used plastics for consumers, they gain value by being able to sell that recyclable material back to the recyclers, and the consumer has the convenience of being able to dispose of their plastic waste in a place that they most likely go to at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. So, and in addition to that, it also nicely consolidates these recyclables for waste management to pick up and sort. Moving on to inspiring from above, sticking with the Coca-Cola example, we're seeing Coca-Cola do what governments strive to do. The difference is that Coca-Cola is not dealing with the same bureaucratic restrictions as governments. So what we are seeing is large corporations are actually able to create significant positive change for communities. And in Coca-Cola's case, the company is really dedicated to vocalizing and spreading their mission, as well as including other companies in their initiatives to yield the greatest possible impact. The passion of the management at Coca-Cola trickles down through their entire company and to their huge market. One of the best methods of getting this message out is using their advertisements to advertise sustainability initiatives and less so their product. And it's pretty cool that Coca-Cola does this because realistically, they don't need to advertise their product. They've already made it and everybody knows what Coca-Cola is. So instead, they're using their platform to inspire change, and that's pretty awesome. A way to increase value to partners would be to partner with other packaging companies around the world and educate them on what they can do too to take responsibility for the full life cycle of their products, modeling after the Coca-Cola model, but scaling down obviously for smaller companies. And then another way of from inspiring from above could come from the legislative action from the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, also known as NIST, and the FDA. Currently, packages are required to feature a recycling triangle with the number in it if the packaging is indeed recyclable. But if NIST and the FDA required packages that were not recyclable to incorporate into the label the fact that they're not recyclable, this could incentivize and motivate these companies to innovate their packaging to become recyclable, since that is a big selling point for a lot of consumers nowadays. Now on to rewarding the significance in relationships. As we begin to see the rise in countries banning single-use plastics, it becomes important for these countries and governments to assist packaging companies financially through the innovation process. By providing incentives for the creation and sharing, emphasis on the sharing, of new compliant packaging systems, we are encouraging these packaging clusters to work together to innovate and ultimately create the best solution for the customer and the environment. Additionally, there are inherent rewards that come from increasing communication between waste management collectors and sorters, and the recyclers between waste management collectors and sorters and the recyclers in time savings, frustration savings from miscommunications in what they do and do not accept, and a monetary gain from both parties. So finally, on to the last point of expanding the value chain into the cluster concept. What this comes down to is increasing the processing power of current recycling facilities and building packaging clusters around these facilities. For example, plastic bottling companies should situate themselves near the PET recyclers, and flexible packaging companies should position themselves near flexible packaging recyclers, decreasing transportation costs and increasing communication and influence between recyclers and the packaging companies who want to purchase the recycled material and who are ultimately producing what the recyclers will then recycle. In situating packaging companies near recyclers, you eliminate the possibility for an out of sight, out of mind mentality when it comes to the end of a package's life cycle. Before I wrap up, I want to briefly discuss the interesting note of flexible plastics. Most recyclers in North America do not accept flexible plastics because they clog up the automated machinery. In our current infrastructure, they clog up machinery in our current infrastructure. However, flexible packaging is the future of plastics because it uses less material. Leading members of the flexible packaging value chain have been monitoring this trend and are collaborating to make a shared vision of how to conquer this ever-growing waste problem. It'll be really interesting to watch how the flexible packaging industry will work together to incorporate value chain initiatives into their innovation and design of their products through the chain to make recovery and recycling possible. So just to wrap up, we're going to see packaging companies moving towards innovating within their means, meaning that, and by that I mean that companies are really starting to take responsibility for the entire life cycle of their packages. This will either lead companies to innovate to increase the recyclability of their product, to work with the recycling facilities that exist, and for some companies, it'll be creating containers that are reusable, expanding that package's life. Either way, it's on the producers, consumers, recyclers, and the rest of the chain to come together to push these initiatives forward. So that's it from me, and thank you so much for watching.